Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This expression was used many times while I was in college here in the United States of America, and it goes like this, and I'm quoting, "Work within the system," end quote. That is when the idea of democracy arose and everybody says, oh, well, what should we do? We don't like the leaders. We don't like the policies. I think the policy is bad. I think the leaders are not really doing their best to do what the majority wants. And that was the reason why they were elected and so on. Always it was this, work within the system. That is, work through the democratic way, which is, follow the policies, the right way, which is you don't like it, wait until the person's term expires, goes for re-election, and you go and vote for someone else who you think will fit your needs. Okay, there's so much bullshit about it that I can tell you with all that proposition, work within the system. Because I think the system is not providing all the answers. And I'm going to explain here why. And I'm going to use France and the pension reform as a clear example that I used many times and I explained again and again and again. So, you have, I'm going to use first the example in France. And you analyzing the example, I'm going to make my point and I'm going to explain how working within the system works. So this article comes from Agence France Presse, and I'm going to read you only the headline. French pension protests falter despite anger. All right? So now, I'm just going to make a little summary, provide a little summary of what happened. The French government decided that they should increase the retirement age from 62 to 64 or 65, doesn't really matter. They decided that you have to work longer in your life in France. Now, the will of the people, the population did not like that. I think it was a poll, about 80%, if I remember correctly, were against. So the poll said 80%, about 80%, even if it was 60 or 70. I can remember it was I think it was 80% of the population said, we don't want that. The will of the people, democracy, demos, okay, democracy. And they said, oh yeah, okay, it's okay, we are the elected officials, that you elected us to implement the laws and regulations of the majority. That's why we're over here. And they decided that, well, that pension reform is needed, we're going to implement it probably. The people said no. They started, demonstrating over and over, millions of people in France. I said, well, you're going to demonstrate how much you want, and these guys are just going to watch over the window, down the window, and say, okay, that's going to go away. So it's okay. What are they going to do? Blah, 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 work in the system, within the system, and then they will go home. They will get tired, and we don't give up. And when they're going to go elect, they're going to elect the same weasels that now turn against them. Why? 80% don't want it. The government wants it. And the parliamentarians. So what happened? This so-called reform was supposed to be voted in the French parliament, whatever they have over there, right? Democratically. Something that the population did not want to. They did not want to conduct a referendum. They don't want to do that because a referendum will bypass the weasels' special interests. You know what I mean? So they don't want to do that. That's why they don't make conduct referenda in the United States. Like, oh, let's talk about the border referenda. Let's talk about that little theory, race theory in the schools. No, let's don't do that. Let's let the government decide for the rest. If you would have a referendum, then probably these guys are going to be, anyway, by their own campaign donors, let's put it this way. So what happened in France? Before he went in front of the elected officials of the French nation, les enfants de la patrie, remember Napoleon and all those guys? They were all dead. All dead. Now we have a different French nation. So anyway, we have that one. Napoleon, the little Napoleon over here, what's his name? Macron, elected official. He came in legally and said, you know what? You're not going to vote for it. I will say it goes this way. And he signed it and said, no, you're not going to vote. The 80% population, the polls will not matter. The will of the majority will not matter. The parliament will not vote for it because I will decide. One man. One man is a leader. All right? And leader in German is called... Okay, let's go back here. So Macron decided legally by the rules work within the system that he can sign it. And he made that as a law. That went to the Constitutional Court or something over there, little hanky-panky, and everything was just fine. One man decided for everybody else, French nation, all right, that he decided for that, 80%. And the parliament, he bypassed everything with a democratic way within the system. So this is the system in France, okay? Now what was my point? You can protest how much you want. These guys would not care. They wait for you. Did you hear, did you read this? The protest falter. They're still angry, but they're saying, oh, maybe I can watch some Johnny Holiday concert or something like that, or who knows what else. Maybe some Messi who's leaving PSG, fortunately for him, unfortunately for PSG, but it's okay, they're going to have Mbappe, who's going to continue his selfish... Anyway, let's move on. Obviously, I like Messi, and I think that Mbappe is very, very... anyway. He has his own style. We'll see how that will work for him. So here we have back the system, work within the system. So the system is like this. You go and vote one time. After you vote one time, you get an elected weasel who told you that's going to work for you, your interest, the demos, the people, democracy, majority. Then he goes over there and he's going to do whatever he wants for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. It depends how long his term is. And in those 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, if he doesn't do anything illegal, he's not going to be removed from there. He's going to be just fine. In 6 years, 4 years, 5 years, he can screw up your country as much as he wants and future generations, which is voting. And you can't do anything about it. Oh, you can go outside and work within the system. We don't like you. We don't like you. French pension reform. We don't like you. Ta-da-ta-da-ta-da. That's Macron and the politicians. Pa-da-pa-pa-pa-pa. Cheers. Some wine. Cut me some cheese right here. Lady of the night. And that's fine. And those guys are going to be like, we don't want... Work within the system. And in 5 years, 4 years, all right, they will vote differently. But how are these guys voted in the office in the first place? Not through the same process. And they turn around. So you're going to vote for another weasel who's going to promise you the sun and the moon and everything. He's going to get there and he's going to do what he does best, like Macron did, and your parliament. Right? And you're going to be again demonstrating until the cows come home. Okay? You're done. This is the system we're supposed to like. Do you like that? I don't. I think little big tweaks could be implemented here. Because these guys have the authority, supposedly, they have the imperium to rule over the rest on one vote. So 4 years, they're good to go. They can do whatever they want. If it's still legal. If it is legal. But you tell me if Macron had the authority. He has about 21% approval rating. This guy. He made a decision against the 80%, the polls came up with that. People are over there, he bypassed the parliament, and you tell me, work within the system. Isn't something missing, you think? Isn't? He didn't do anything illegal. I'm just making the point. The will of the people, you go and vote one time. They ask you to vote, and then they do whatever they want. What is a way to change that? I think by making the government some mandates to hold referenda on certain issues. If you get a certain kind of number of people that would work within the system and put their signature on some paper or something, they have to conduct referenda or referendum, one or more. And then they would have to put over there on the ballot, like this, the pension reform should have been put on the referendum, and the France Nation should go and vote. And then all these weasels and their donors would have been bypassed. All right? This is one of the ways to improve working within system expression. Now, if you don't like something, go and, we don't like you. Example, France. What happened with Yellow Vest? The same thing. Isn't that a pattern? And I'm using just France. You can look here as well. But these guys are a little bit more, give me the chips and the beer. Let's watch the whatever beavers. Yeah, man, we won again. Yeah, bum chest. They're more. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Wake up! Get off your sofas and work within the system. Go and vote. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.